We have a 101-page culture deck. People want to know about that. Could you tell us what it is in brief?
Well, 101-page culture deck is, first of all, I want to take a step back. Why even have a culture deck, right? And what matters? I remember this during our initial round when we had raised our round of funding, and we were thinking about really reimagining how we can do things, because in every year you want to elevate and learn from your past year, and at the same time try and operate things in a very different way, in a positive way. That's at least what you plan with. And one of the common things that I kept hearing, and this was in I think 2.5, 3 years back, I kept hearing consistently with the top leaders of the world, is they keep coming back to this thing called culture, which is a differentiation, culture which makes a big difference within an organization. So me being a geek, I actually took a few months out and I said, look, let's understand and really nail this culture baby, and really understand what that means and what does really mean as an impact to the organization. And this is where I went ahead. I studied 14 different books. Okay. I studied the culture of 14 different companies that included Google, Netflix, Facebook, Amazon, McKinsey, Blackstone. There are a ton of these companies, and these are world-class companies which have created world-class impact with everything that they do. So there's so much to learn from them. So I studied the culture of each one of those companies, and then I resonated quite a lot with the culture of Netflix. Although I didn't agree with everything in that book, but I still resonated quite a lot with that. Mm-hmm. So as next step, what we did was, we said, look, whether we know it or not, every single company does have a culture. So a company always has a culture, absolutely, whether they know it or they don't know it. We thought that it's better to create a consciously codified culture which we can be proud of. If I think that I am somebody who's passionate about doing things, who's deep in the subject matter that I'm trying to do things with, what's the kind of environment that I would like to be in, mm-hmm, where I would be, able to perform to the best of my capacity. And it's not just about me. If I'm hiring, and we are hiring rock stars across the organization, what is the ground, a fertile ground that we can put and plant each rock star in so that they bloom into the best of their capacity? And that was really the essence of why we needed a culture. Now, if I created that culture, that would actually be against the kind of culture that I would want to be a part of. So definitely, as the leader of the organization, I do set some North Stars. I do set some high-level structure of saying that, look, we want a culture of autonomy. We want a culture of freedom. We want a culture where people can be very, very transparent, even if it's things which are not very, very comfortable. Mm-hmm. We wanted a culture of candor. So these were high-level principles which I felt deeply connected with. Mm-hmm. And therefore, I asked, as you know, to the entire organization, almost 2.5 years back now, to read the Netflix book, which was No Rules, which really inspired all of us to see that how can we learn from a great organization like Netflix of what's the right things that they've done. Again, we don't agree to everything out there, but that doesn't matter. They've done a phenomenal job. Absolutely. They, of course, have a even longer deck. So they've got a 126 slide deck. So we learned from that deck. We learned from I actually ended up chasing and pestering the ex-HR head of Netflix, Patty McCord, mm-hmm, where she got frustrated from me, and she finally picked up my phone and she said, okay, what is it? And I'm like, I need you to review our deck. And she was kind enough to at least, tell me and give us feedback on our deck and, what we are doing. So we spoke to multiple people from there, and not only Netflix, we had Laszlo Bock from Google, who was again kind enough to look at what we've got, and at the same time, learn from his book and everything that Google does, and a lot of other organizations, and then codify that as a part of one document, mm-hmm, which almost can become like our North Star, our way of doing things, because we can achieve what we want to achieve as our mission, mm-hmm, but there are many paths to get there. But what is the path which not only gets us there in the fastest way possible, but also in the happiest and the most fulfilled way possible. And that was really the reason why we had to put the deck. Why 101 slides? Because firstly, slides don't cost any money, so we could just put anything and any number that we want. But it actually is a representation. And by the way, the culture deck is open for anybody to see. It's on our website, jobs.safe.security, and if you go and look at that deck, it really captures all permutation and combinations of what do we stand for, what's our mission, what's our vision, what's the kind of people we hire, what's the kind of people we fire. It even is explicit of that. So if you look at the entire permutation and combinations, we thought that it's almost like saying, right, if somebody's writing the Holy Bible and they said, you know what, I need the whole Bible to be condensed in 2 slides and given to me as a summary, maybe some people can do it, but it definitely loses the essence of what the culture of a lot of people would stand for. I would say we still have a very short deck in 101 slides.
That's
and I know
debatable.
You don't, I know.
We can debate about that. But now, adding to that point, you said unlimited vacations, no expense policies, no, a lot of freedom. It seems too good to be true. Is it really real?
Payal, how many days were you on a vacation last year?
So many.
So many. I like that answer. The good part of that so many is, the reason why that answer is significant is because you yourself don't know how many days were you on a vacation.
That's
right?
true.
Now, that would not be the case if you spoke to an employee of a different company. In most cases, not only would they know how many days were there, they would also tell you, these many days were pending in my total vacation, which is my thing. And they would still have to go to their managers for the approvals and all of that stuff. Again, going back to the core pile, we truly not only believe, but we truly know that we proudly have built an organization with one of the highest ever talent densities, given our stage and the funding and everything that we have. So given our resources, we're extremely proud of the kind of people who work together as a family within our organization. And when we have such extremely talented people, they need to be given freedom. They need to be given the freedom to be able to spread their wings and fly and do what they think is right in the interest of the company, because you know what? Every single person in the company is a shareholder of the company. So we've given equity to every single person who joins the company. There's nobody who's not a shareholder of the company. Yeah. So that means the output, not just in terms of making an impact on the world, and we think we are fundamentally changing cybersecurity and we're making a huge impact. But when we create that impact, we're also not building a not-for-profit organization. We're building an organization which potentially can become hundreds of billions of dollars of worth. And when that happens, it translates into everybody having a share in that win that comes in, whether it's monetary, whether it's changing the world, whether it's in terms of the right kind of knowledge base that we acquire while doing that thing, among other things that are out there. So that's the reason, Payal, why I truly believe, and this is no exception, right? Vacation policy or unlimited, technically unlimited expenses policy also, right? Because there is no expense policy. Just act in the best interest of SAFE. So if you look at that, it stems back to our culture, and because we think we've done a reasonably good job of making that culture happen, it's just a small extension of the fundamental root cause, which is autonomy with accountability with highly talent dense organization. So yeah, that's how I look at it.